Hello everyone. This is Ram. I'm from procurement team. Today I'm going to talk about one of the modern pattern in React, which is called a React recursive pattern. So, what exactly is a recursion? Uh, as we all know, recursion is a programming technique where a function call itself either directly or indirectly in order to solve a problem. So essentially, what it does is like it breaks down a complex problem into a smaller, more manageable sub problems. So which are then solved in a repetitive manner until a base case is reached. And this base case simple is simple and a solvable problem that does not require further recursion. In a similar way, we can do the same. We can use the same pattern in React too. So in React, what exactly is a recursive pattern in React? So in React, a recursive pattern is when a component call itself during the rendering process to handle nested object or hierarchical data structures. So basically, this kind of a pattern is useful when you don't know how deep that structure goes. For example, comments with the replies or a directory structure or a menu with the with the submenus. So for this kind of a structure, instead of hard coding a multiple nested components, recursion actually lets you build a single flexible component that renders itself as needed. So let's say you have a recursion in traditional coding way. Now let's compare like a recursion in traditional coding with a recursion in React. A common example would in is the factorial of n, where the base case here is n equals equal to 0 and n equals to 1. And then it returns 1. So this is the base case. And then recursive step is n factorial of n and factorial n into factorial of n minus 1. So this is the recursive step. So this function actually calls itself repeatedly, each time working with a smaller input until it reaches the base case. Now compare that to React. A component like this, which is a GSX, can render itself comment has a if the comment has a replies. So just like a function actually call itself with a smaller input, the component can render itself with a smaller subset of the data, like a child component or this subcomponent. So both required actually a base condition to stop recursion and a smaller input at each level and a self-reference. So if you look at this component right here, the self-calling is the recursive common component, and the base case is like if the replies has a length, and the input string is like the comment dot replies. So that is the input string, and in normal recursion function, it returns a single value, whereas in React it returns a TSX. And uh, let's say you have a nested comment, let's say you are building a comment section. So with this nested comments object, so each component might have a replies, and those replies might have further replies, and so on. Now, if let's build a recursive component, so which I have already created here. So recursive component so basically it is a recursive component to check the replies. If they reply, then itself call the same component. Uh, so what is happening here is each component is and rendered, and then if it has a reply, then the same component is called e for each reply. So this continues until there are no more replies. So that's the base case.